An Australian pastor is warning Americans to wake up to protect their culture from creeping Islamism. Danny Nalliah runs Catch the Fire Ministries. He spoke with CBN international correspondent Gary Lane about what the West's embrace of multiculturalism may lead to.
I'm guessing you feel there's a sense of urgency about Western culture. That's why you're on a tour of North America now. What are you telling people?
Yes, Gary, I think the need is so urgent right now. The time that I spent in Saudi Arabia, when I was in Saudi Arabia, I was forced to watch 3 people getting beheaded. And at that point, I learned a lot about Islam and studied the Quran. Definitely, what's happening right now, if the West does not wake up, it will be too late. And that's the reason I wrote this book, 21st Century Culture War in the West. There is a massive struggle in between cultures right now. And it's so sad that the Western culture possibly is going to be under major threat, and it is under threat. And if we don't wake up and rise up and stand up right now, it'll be too far gone.
Well, Danny, why do you think our Western leaders are asleep? They really don't see the threat.
Well, the Bible speaks of, for a lack of knowledge, my people perish. Church part of it, I would say the church is asleep, very much asleep. Church is not waking up. But also government leaders have turned a blind eye to the challenge that we are facing. Our Prime Minister in Australia called ISIS a death cult. I went one step further and I said Islam is a death cult. Now, does that mean we corner all Muslims and tell them to get out of our country? No. We love and embrace the Muslim people as a group of people, people's group. But at the same time, we have the right to stand up against the faith of Islam because it teaches people to kill those who don't believe in the faith or make them pay a tax to live under as slaves.
We've seen the first Westerner killed by ISIS, an Australian. Your thoughts on that?
It's horrible. People are like, oh, it's so far away out there in the Middle East. It's never going to happen to us in Australia or in the West. And I said, oh boy, if you guys don't wake up to the smell of coffee, you're going to be regretting for the rest of your life. And sure, lo and behold, it's happening now in our backyard. Islam is a God-given mandate to the Muslim people to conquer the world. You would ask me the question, possibly, are there good Muslims? There are tens of thousands of good Muslims, but they cannot be true Muslims because a true Muslim is commanded by Allah to conquer the world because the world belongs to Allah. One of the problems we have is multiculturalism, and that issue needs to be addressed very quickly and speedily. Under multiculturalism, Islam finds its way, a doorway to enter this Western world. Because for Islam, the culture is Sharia law, 4 wives, 12-year-old brides, female genital mutilation is all a part of Islam's culture. So when our Western nations say we are multicultural, we have to embrace all their cultural practices. My call has been this: if a person immigrates into the West, I myself am an immigrant into the Western world, we need to integrate into the way of life we have come into. If you think where you have come from is better than where you have come into, then it's time for us to say, shut up, pack your bags, and get back to where you came from.
There are many Christians in this country who don't want to appear as being intolerant or not supporting religious freedom. How should we handle and address this situation here in the United States?
Love the Muslim people. Muslims are a people's group. Islam is a religion. It's time for us to take a stand, and now is the time to draw the lines on the sand and say, stand up for Jesus, stand up for your nation, love the Muslim people, love all people, pray for their salvation, stand your ground. But love does not mean it's weak. Perfect love drives out all fear.
Pastor Danny Nalliah from Melbourne, Australia, Catch the Fire Ministries. We wish you the best on your tour of America, and thanks for joining us.